Okay, our next presentation is to Gene's Effect Athletic Potential of Boulders. With me giving this presentation, not with me, I'm Costas. Is going to be giving the presentation. Costas has the unique title of being the only USBC Gold Coach and ETBF Level 3 in the world. He has the two highest certifications from the two certification or governing bodies for the sport of bowling. So I think it's going to be very enjoyable. I'm going to turn it right over to Costas.
Hello, everybody. No? Can you hear me now? Okay. First of all, I will borrow something from Frank. If English is not your mother language, you have to speak slow. I would try to speak slow because anyway, this subject is not so familiar with our industry and our sport, and I need to feel comfortable as we go through the presentation. We'll go through the slides together one by one, and I will try to explain as good as possible, and as simple as possible, everything that we're going to see. First of all, I want to really express my personal feelings. I really feel deeply honored and blessed that I am among so many great coaches. And it has been an amazing week. We have exchanged and shared important information and ideas. And I feel confident that by the end of this conference, when we all go back home, we'll have the feeling that we're in a mission to save our sport. We all understand that our sport is going down, it's in trouble. And the only way to reverse the situation is to keep pushing ourselves to expand our knowledge and share it. And as we've seen through the last couple of days, presentation after presentation, all of us, we started sharing more and more information. So we stopped being so territorial as we used to, because we all understand the situation. The sport is going down. And we're on the same ship, and the ship is sinking, but we're all captains. You have to remember that. It doesn't matter if you are gold or silver or bronze or level 1. We are all, one way or the other, captains of the same ship. I heard yesterday from you one very interesting thing about young people, new generation. It's not the same. It's not the same anymore. They behave in a completely different way. They narrow the window of communication. They don't allow you to enter so easily in that window. And they keep asking for more information. They are so exposed into so many sources of information. And they seek for answers. And you have to provide them those answers. And if you don't expand your knowledge in many different fields, then you will get out of that window of communication. And you will lose those kids. They will move forward, seeking for new adventures in other sports or other fields. And we lose them. That's how we lose bowlers. We don't communicate with them. And that's what was the first reason that I decided to expand into a different field. And we all have to understand as coaches that we cannot do everything by ourselves. We have to expand our knowledge, but we have to link ourselves with other scientists as well. There's so much science behind all sports. And personally, when I coached back in my country, I linked myself with other specialists, nutritionists, physiotherapists, chiropractors, doctors, masseurs, sports psychologists. And you know, when you link yourself with so many specialists, they take you seriously. And you build a team of people around you that they start thinking a different way about bowling. And you provide bowlers a different view of how real sport is. Because most of the bowlers, they don't have sport education. And many of our coaches, they don't have sport education. So the only way to escape from this trap is to keep pushing ourselves towards knowledge. And I will tell you one of my personal experiences. When I thought I was good, I knew pretty much a lot. I was a little bit of arrogant about that. Until life decided to teach me otherwise. When my wife was diagnosed with cancer in the brain while we were expecting my little boy. And through that process, we had to go through an operation. We removed the tumor. It was exactly on the kinetic nerve, and she became paralyzed. And during that process, I was the one that had to take that decision. The doctors called me inside, and they showed me exactly where the tumor was, and they told me, you know, either we remove it all, and she becomes paralyzed, or we remove half, and she dies in 6 months. It's your choice. And all of a sudden, I know nothing. And I had to take that decision. So I told them, remove it all. And yeah, she became paralyzed. And then we sent it for biopsy. All doctors said that no, maximum frame of life is 12 to 18 months. That's how it is. It's not reversible. And again, I find myself knowing nothing at all. How do I face the situation? And through all these years, the best lesson I ever learned was from that woman. That now she's my ex-wife. And she's still alive after 7 years. She managed to walk again, she managed to drive again, and she taught me how it is to fight for your life. And she forced me to expand my knowledge day by day in so many different fields in order for me to be able to understand, and by understanding, spreading that knowledge to other people, not for them to become specialists, but to help them understand what's going on around. So it was the subject for the last few days. How much should a golf coach know? And let's make it more general. How much should a coach know? And in my opinion, as much as possible. The more information you get, the more familiar you become with many different fields, the more potential you will have to give those answers to those questions coming from those kids. You know, you see them when they hang out, they do nothing else except like ride with their mobiles, and they're sending messages to each other even on the same table. They don't communicate anymore. They lost the communication skills. And we're coming from a different timing. Back in the 80s, 90s, we were outside the streets. You could hear the children's voices. You could sense the energy. You could feel that they were communicating. That is not like that anymore. So we have to follow technology. And I've heard people complaining about balls and about technology moving forward. Technology will always move forward. It will never stop. scientists, they are so hungry of developing new things, making researchers. They will not wait for us. We have to adjust. This is how it is. This is a new world, and we have to take seriously into consideration what's going on around us if we want to save that this sport, and if we potentially and hopefully to make it an Olympic sport. Because if you have a background from other sports, we are far away from them. The way we think right now and the way we behave in a global basis, because someone will claim that we do this or we do this, but in order to get there, we need something more global. And we have a leadership, and they have their time, and they're trying to get some answers and make a plan. But until that day will come with that final plan, we have to say what is there and keep it there, not lose any more voters. So, coming to my presentation, I have to, since this is a completely new subject for you, I have to mention some important definitions that they deal with the whole subject. So, what are genetics? Genetics is the study of how traits are inherited through the interactions of genes. And by saying that, what are genes? Genes are heritable units contained in every cell of our body that controls which traits are expressed in an organism. They come in pairs, and offspring inherit one copy of each gene from each parent. And you all know that we have 46 chromosomes, 23 from the mother, 23 from the father. And if you have one more, you are diagnosed with the Down syndrome. Okay, just for you to have some general information of what we're talking about. So what is a trait? It's ways of looking, thinking, or being. Genetic traits are passed down through these genes from parents to offspring. And what is allele? An allele is an alternative form of a gene, one member of a pair, that is located at a specific position on a specific chromosome. And I don't want you really to try to understand the terminology. I just want you to have the knowledge, and after, when you go back home and you will become more interested in the subject, you have an idea what you are looking for. It's impossible in one of the most complicated fields in the world to be able to present it and give you the knowledge of scientific terminologies. So it's just for you to have a general idea. So what is a phenotype? It is the outward physical appearance and behavior of a living organism. These are the physical parts, the sum of the atoms, molecules, macromolecules, cells, structures, metabolism, energy utilization, tissues, organs, reflexes, and behaviors. Anything that is part of the observable structure, function, or behavior of a living organism. And what is a genotype? This is what we call the internally coded inheritable information, and it's carried by all living organisms. This stored information is used as blueprint for building and maintaining a living creature. These instructions are found within almost all cells, the internal part, that's how we call it, and they are written in a coded language, the genetic code. And they are encoded at the time of cell division or reproduction, and are passed from one generation to the next, inheritable. These instructions are intimately involved with all aspects of the life of the cell or an organism. They control everything from the formation of protein, macromolecules, to the regulation of metabolism and synthesis. It sounds boring. And when I was doing all this research myself, the institutions I was visiting and the geneticists, I'm not a geneticist, so I just wanted to get some answers fast. But they told me, you know, put those information in your presentation. As scientists, we want you to do so. And one day, you will remember what we said, because we know that we're right. People, they need to get familiar with this information. So, what has triggered my research? It's quite an interesting story. I was an elite athlete for my whole life. When I was young, I was dealing with athletics and football. For you Americans, soccer. Stuart Williams is not somewhere around. He always says, how can you call a game football when you use your hands? This is not football. So that's what he was arguing all the time. So I was dealing with athletics and football. I was holding the national record for the 800 meters. And then I moved to decathlon. But my passion was football. And I moved up the ladder to the elite level, to the high level. And it was a regular day when I had to go for practice. So I followed my routine and I put myself in the field. I did some stretching and started to make some very light running. And after 20 meters, I fell down. And I turned back and I was ready to start cursing and shouting because I thought someone kicked me from behind. And there was nobody there. I was alone in the field. That was so strange. So I tried to stand up again and continue. And I fell down again. So immediately I realized that something was wrong. And I tried to put my hand on the area I felt that the problem was. And I could not feel my Achilles tendon at all. It was totally disappeared. So to make the story short, I had a complete fracture of my Achilles tendon. And back then it was a very serious injury. And all of a sudden, from the exposure I had, the newspapers, TV, magazines, pretty famous guy, young, promising, ready to move from one club to another, good life, big money, everybody forgot about it. This is how it is in sports. And when I visited, because in my country they could not make that operation, they were not familiar with this kind of things. I had to move to other countries and I had 2 operations. And when I was doing my rehabilitation, that by the way, it took me 7 months to completely recover from this injury. And actually, I dropped everything I was doing. I was focusing on being able again to walk. And I was doing 6 to 7 hours a day of physiotherapy, work therapy, and visiting sports psychologists for support, because it was not an easy thing to deal. That was really tough and emotional period of my life. And forgive me for talking for a minute. So during my rehabilitation, they suggested that since the injury was not occurred by doing some intense exercise, that I should do some kind of gene test, how they call it, to see if there was a predisposition for kind of risk injuries or something like that. I said, what are you talking about? And they said, yeah, this is how we deal with other things of life as well, so it will cost you nothing. And I said, Okay, let's do it. And we found out that I had a genetic predisposition and increased risk to tendinopathies due to a gene related with collagen that is the main structural component of tissues and ligaments. And I wish I knew that much earlier in my career. That would completely change the way I was training, the way I was behaving to my body, the way I was eating. It would change completely my plan. So two genomic variants in genes, don't need to know the names or to remember the names, gave increased risk for Achilles tendinopathy. And I will show you some Gray's anatomy picture right now. And forgive me for that, especially after lunch. But it's for you to understand that even as coaches, you will be, and I hope not, but sometimes you will be facing situations like that. And you will see ugly things. And I've seen some in my career until now. So, this how was my Achilles tendon when it was operated. That's me. So, when the doctors were trying to fix it, they wanted to make sure that this will never happen again, at least at the same level, because that would be the end. So, what they came up with, they put a plastic tissue wrapped around the Achilles when they were putting everything together. And actually, in order to manipulate the organism to absorb this new object and not to reject it as a foreign object, they had to cut a small piece of my gastrocnemius muscle and wrap it around so as to fool the body to accept this foreign object. And it was quite successful. So, having this experience and being in sports for so long in my life, and growing up with some great idols like Michael Jordan and Pele and Maradona and so many other great athletes that they were unique, and nowadays so many others like Federer, Nadal, in so many different sports, back then Buka, Isibayeva, so many great athletes. One question came to my mind. Are athletes born or built? We've seen athletic records to be broken year after year, and when you feel that something cannot be done, someone comes along and shows us you can. So I remember back the years when Jesse Owens won the 4 gold medals in the Olympics. And we said that that wasn't possible to be repeated. And then, after a couple of decades, no, after 50 years, 60 years, Carl Lewis shows up and he's doing the same thing. But it took 50, 60 years for someone to be able to repeat something like that. So, are there any limits? And what are the factors that limit performance? Physiologists agree that limits have to do with our genes. Dramatic improvements in athletic performance depend on a variety of factors. DNA sequence variations in relevant genes have been associated with specific phenotypes involved in athletic performance that includes endurance capacity, muscle performance, susceptibility to injuries, body mass composition, psychological aptitude, and nutrition. all of a sudden, we find ourselves with all this new information. And I was wondering when I got this information, why were they keeping this information away from us for so long? Actually, they were not. They were doing it in other sectors of life that it was more of interest for them, but it would be too dangerous to make it so obvious for us that we could use all this information in something so more wide open to public, because they didn't want us to know truth hidden behind all this information. So, hard training and practice. Is it enough? In our sport, in bowling, that's what we keep saying. Practice, 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 practice makes perfect. Unquestionably, becoming a champion requires dedication, hours of training, thousands of hours of training, I would say, perseverance, just to name a few. However, there's another prerequisite we have no control over, and that's our genes. Considering the aforementioned comment, a number of questions arise. Is there a connection between our genes and our sporting ability? Are we born with the genes that will make us excel at certain sports? Or is it just dedicated training, a good diet, and other environmental factors that determine success? Scientific evidence suggests that athletic ability depends on both genetic and environmental factors. And you know, I've heard you guys talk about different subjects related with techniques and the ability of improvement to bowlers. But think about this. Think about all the other sports. They all go through hard training, especially the pros, in every sport. And training is pretty much similar. They don't follow so much different way of training. Why some people, they are so way different than others? What do they do different? Why we rarely see another guy like Michael Jordan? Why in the whole team of Barcelona there is one star and the whole team is built around him? Why don't we have so many McEnroes and Federers and Nadals? Why are those ones the special ones? And it's easy for me now to understand that the differences that we see physically in each other, that is a part of genes and genetics, they are not only that. There are 1 billion times more things behind that. So I came personally to the conclusion that our genes, they are really responsible for the potential we have as athletes. So how to identify potentially elite young athletes? For those that are involved in sports, identifying young athletes with the potential of becoming elite athletes is of remarkable interest. Not all young athletes can access the highest quality training and resources needed to reach the elite level. And I was very happy when you had left yesterday, he mentioned that in Finland they started doing a program for free because we are losing talent. We don't have the program that will tell us which kids they have this kind of gene advantage that will eventually help them to excel in the sports. So we need to find a way to bring these kids in and us to act like scouts to identify potential young athletes. And personally, when I go to the voting centers and I see people vote, I don't watch to see something really fascinating. I just try to observe and discover and see the potential. Either it's coming from the rhythm or from the tempo or from something that someone, or a girl or boy or he or she is doing in a different way that will catch my eye. And I will immediately understand that there's some potential hidden in that person based on the genes. And if I take that person and drive his or her attention to the sport, then most probably I will have the chance to help them develop those skills. So this is what I personally do, and I encourage you to start doing the same, because we cannot expect that people will just come into the voting center and all will be talented and all will become great. And of course, we don't want only the greats to be part of our sport. We need different level of athletes. It's impossible to have only the elites. But the specific presentation, it's concentrated more towards how we find those special ones. So many sports have developed strategies for identifying or scouting talent, aiming at cultivating that talent towards a professional level. And you're all familiar what's going on with football, soccer, basketball, managers and scouts, how many millions and millions of dollars they're changing hands just by doing this job well. That's a really important job in our industry, scouting, and the ability to identify what are we looking for. Talent selection at an early stage allows for adequate training time in sport-specific activities. So we're talking about young kids. Physical and psychological development of children is a significant detriment to the success of talent identification programs. So, can genetic tests predict athletic performance in kids? That was interesting to hear.
My colleagues and I were writing about a genetic test that is available to parents on the internet that tests to see if children or individuals carry a protein that makes their muscles contract faster and presumably is to some degree predictive of their athletic ability. So the science behind this test is that they're looking for gene types that encode proteins or produce proteins
Sorry for that.
My colleagues and I were writing about a genetic test that is available to parents on the internet that tests to see if children or individuals carry a protein that makes their muscles contract faster and presumably is to some degree predictive of their athletic ability. So the science behind this test is that they're looking for gene types that encode proteins or produce proteins
Can I have some help over here? He doesn't want to continue. He's hiding the truth.
My colleagues and I were writing about a genetic test that is available to parents on the internet that tests to see if children or individuals carry a protein that makes their muscles contract faster, and presumably is to some degree predictive of their athletic ability. So the science behind this test is that they're looking for gene types that encode proteins, or produce proteins.
So that's one. So the basic idea of what they're saying is that they have decided to run genetic tests in many different levels that potentially will predict athletic performance in kids. And some years ago, that would be only possible through specific institutions. Nowadays, there are so many different companies that they address directly to the consumers. And they offer you a complete genome test of so many thousands of genes and potential risks and diseases. So ultimately, talent scouts and coaches are interested in the physical and mental abilities of the future athlete. They focus on predicting the future potential when they examine a young, minimally trained athlete. Many of the physical and mental traits vital to sport performance are genetically determined. Consequently, identification of key genetic factors in young athletes would enable improved prediction for future potential. There will be more reliance on molecular prediction of future traits instead of solely examining physical and mental traits. And by reading all this, as a coach, I feel that I will have a better view and another tool in my library of selection of young athletes if I would be able to have all this information from these tests. And I'm not saying that we should force